What's up, guys? Jason of New Age Revolution here today to review a fantastic horror movie from the folks who gave us the Fear footage. Ricky Umberger, director extraordinaire, and his cast of fantastic performers. The folks that scared the wits out of us with the Fear footage series. 2 or 3 years ago, I reviewed those movies. The Fear footage, and I told you how intense they were, how scary they were, how unnerving they were. Well, the folks at the Fear footage are back at it again. Ricky Umberger and his crew are giving us Project Eerie. Folks, let me tell you about First of all, let me tell you about horror movies. Let me tell you the kind of horror movie that I like. I like a horror movie that scares you. I like a horror movie that makes you feel uneasy. I like a horror movie that makes you pull the blanket up over your head, gets your heart beating real fast. You're waiting for something to jump out. You're waiting for something to scare you. It pops around the corner. Boom, there it is. And you jump anyway I do. And that's my style of horror movie. And that's exactly what Project Eerie gives us. Project Eerie is a movie that will make you sit and stare at the screen and wait for something to happen. That is what horror should be all about. So let's take a look at Project Eerie. We've got one of my newest favorite genre or styles of horror movie. We've got the streaming YouTube style of horror movie, right? Where you got the streamers going in and doing their thing, and they're on camera, and it's found footage style. I love that kind of stuff. I love that stuff. So we've got a couple of streamers, a couple of YouTubers, we'll assume, are doing their urban exploring thing, and they're heading into an abandoned building. They're headed into an abandoned warehouse, a government facility, chained off, roped off. You can't go in, but they're going to go in because that's what they do on their channel. And once they're in there, they start discovering some creepy paperwork. Some things just don't feel right. They hear a few noises here and there, and then they find a DVD. The DVD is marked Project Eerie, and that's where the fun begins because the warehouse is not quite abandoned, folks. The warehouse is not abandoned. They start to be chased out of there. They barely escape with their lives. They're in the car headed home on Halloween night when they realize they've still got the DVD. That's right. So they're going to go home on Halloween night and they're going to pop in Project Eerie and find out what the heck this place is all about. And that's when the anthology begins. My next favorite genre or theme of horror movies, anthologies. I love horror anthologies. You pop in the DVD and the 3 featurettes begin giving us the terror, giving us the uneasiness, giving us the jump scares that we all need from our horror movies. Let's talk about each little featurette. The first one, folks, I'm not going to spoil anything because you need to go to thefearfootage.com and you need to get your hands on this movie. You need to go to Amazon. You need to buy, rent this movie, do whatever you have to do. You need to get your hands on this movie today, folks. The first featurette is a father and his little daughter, 2, 3, 4 years old, going camping. They pull into a campground that's supposed to be packed. In fact, it looks just like a campground that Liam and I go to right down the road from us. All the little dugouts for people to go camp, pull up their camper, all the little spots, the clearings, if you will. Not a single person is there. No big deal. No big deal. There's a creepy park ranger who we get to see. There's some freaky stuff that happens to this guy and his little daughter. And you know how I feel about movies with kids in them. It just makes me feel just not comfortable at all. And hats off to probably the best performance in this movie came from little Blair Umberger. And all of her 3 or 4 years old. She knocks it out of the park, folks. The first featurette is about a father and his daughter going camping, and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. The second featurette takes us to the backwoods of some hunting community. We got a couple of good old boys hanging out in the cabin, ready to shoot some deer, ready to drink some beer for the night. And they catch somebody walking walking through their woods, and that somebody looks like somebody who might have just been on the run for murdering their wife and kid. And there's a reward for this guy, and those backwoods hunters, those good old boys, want that $200,000 reward. So they're going to skip the deer, they're going to skip the turkeys, they're going to grab the beers, and they're going to go hunt down this guy. Well, of course, things don't go as planned, and things get crazy, and things get freaky, and I think some people get eaten, but I'm not going to spoil anything for you. And the final portion of this anthology, an Amish fella calls a couple of ghost hunters, a couple of streaming ghost hunters, to come check out his haunted home. And they show up and they do their thing and they introduce themselves and okay, we're gonna check out your home. Does that ever go well? No. Things, of course, get crazy. And then it ties all in right back to the home where there's two original streamers are checking out their DVD, watching all this stuff happen. They're freaked out. They're going to go to bed for the night. But they're not. They're not because things have to go wrong. And the movie brings it home, and I finally get to pull the blanket back down over my head. And I finally get to breathe easy because the movie's over. Project Eerie absolutely does what it's supposed to do as a horror movie. The fear footage absolutely does what it's supposed to do as a horror movie. Folks, go to thefearfootage.com. Grab this movie directly from the director, directly from the company that made it. Help support these fantastic filmmakers. Get the movie, put it in, and get scared. Project Eerie does what it's supposed to do. It's scary. It's unsettling. And if you got kids, you're going to get freaked out by the first feature. I'm telling you, it just doesn't make you feel good. But it is what it is. That's what a horror movie is. Project Eerie knocks it out of the park. Ricky Umberger kills it. Go support them today.